think this is a really bad idea.
I'm going into space, Daddy, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
Fire!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the Craftiverse. I'm very excited to bring to you the first episode of CraftPod 13. At the beginning here, Craftsman and I are just working out some technical details, trying to figure out how to get this mess to work, as he would say. And we weren't 100% successful, but we're going to get better at this. So let's just start there. And yeah, I hope y'all enjoy it. You know what, Craftsman?
Yes,
4
sir.
beeps? Not enough for me. I need 10 beeps.
That's right. We want to do it right.
That is correct.
Now, here's the thing. I don't have my speaker turned down, so any of y'all beeps, let me think about this, is not going to pick up on my microphone. So...
No, give me some hand claps. Just give me like 4.
Tino, we got to sync this right up. Want to sync this podcast. Oh, he said 4. I'm sorry. I done went crazy, gave you about 7 though.
CraftPod 13.
A lot of people will support you on Patreon and say, I don't need any extras. I'm just doing this because I know it costs money to make craft videos and it costs many hours. But I still, Tino, to be honest with you, I feel like I want to do more for them. And that's probably the most exciting for me about this podcast is I feel like we're going to, both of us, give something extra, to the people that's directly supporting us.
Oh, I agree, because really, like, that's the people you really want to take care of. I mean, these people are going so above and beyond, and the whole Patreon thing is such a new concept to me, and
that's right.
And I get it, and I have very high hopes for pretty much everything, I'll tell you.
Now let me just, I don't know when we're gonna get into it, but just real quick, how do you feel? I was hesitant about, saying something to you about Patreon, but I just knew you was probably gonna have to do it if you wanted to make a real go at doing this, financially justifying, because to be honest with you, Patreon is the only reason that I can do videos, and I hope that it pays off for you as well. I really hope it's not a headache or nothing. I hope it's just more of a blessing than anything. So how do you like it so far, if you had to say?
How do I like the whole YouTube thing or the whole Patreon thing?
Oh, Patreon in particular.
I really like it. I'm still getting my sea legs with it, trying to make sure that I'm doing things right, and every once in a while I'll do something that's kind of stupid, or or just there's so many interfaces, as you are well aware. I mean, there's Discord, there's the editing interfaces, audio interfaces, Patreon interfaces.
That's right.
It goes on and on and on. And they all do similar things, but they all do it a little differently, and then you forget which one you're in. So
that's right.
I'm getting my sea legs, but I really do like it. I really love the direct communication with people, which I think is really cool. And and I also like the idea that there's some people out there that are interested enough in your stuff that some of the slower things, aka this podcast, or more technical things, they are interested in it. So how about what's your relationship with Patreon?
You just gave a perfect explanation. So it's 2 things for me that I would say that a little bit of pressure is a good thing, because if it was not for Patreon, I would still be doing videos once every 3 months. All right. I mean, to be honest, I really would. That's what I was doing. And that was my hesitation to doing Patreon. And also because I said, baby, we getting ready to, people gonna be giving us money now. And I can't just sit around and wait 2 or 3 months to do a video. I'm gonna have to just keep on giving the people. They pay me to do video, and now I have some of the best, as you probably going to find out, because some of ours are the same people, the best patrons in the world, who say, "Crab man, take your time, baby. Don't need to rush it." But a little bit of pressure is a good thing. I probably put more pressure on myself than they do for me. But you touched on something that is so true. I feel like when I make a YouTube video, like the one I just did recently with that kid bash, I feel like I have to make it snappy, make it appealing for the more average audience, with music and quick cuts, and don't hang on nothing for too long. But this right here, what we doing, just like you said, y'all real true, what they call with hardcore fans. That's the kinds of thing I feel like, at least I hope, that they would be into. The more take your time with it, and just listening to technical things, and just really can drill down on, expound on some of them aspects, because that's your audience that really cares more. Not that the other ones don't care, but your typical YouTube viewer, they used to having content just give it to me quick, as opposed to your Patreon. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
That's a fantastic explanation you gave, and I feel I have high hopes about Patreon, and just the future of kind of what YouTube is starting, and just how I think people are starting to realize that they can maybe go straight to the creator, support that creator of something very specific they like, and you're cutting out these middlemen who really I guess interfere is the only word I can put to it correctly.
Right.
They interfere with the end product, and basically this just gets people, directly to the creators. And I think as people get more, in line and tune with this aspect of things, that more people are gonna do it. Because I'm interested in supporting more creators now after seeing Patreon. I'm just this is so cool. These people should be doing this for a living.
Exactly right. Exactly. Well, that's the whole thing, really. That somebody sent me your channel, and I have never in my life. I have seen a lot of really wonderful channels, and so your channel came along, and if I had to guess, all right, Tinu, just looking at the first video I ever saw. And if I had not known anything about the numbers, if I did not know how many views, how many subscribers, I would have said that you was one of them people that had, million subscribers. If I just was looking at the content, how much you poured into it, your heart and soul, just dumping it out into the videos, and then knowing what you was at, I just could not believe it. And I just saw what was going to happen is, this man he going to get burnt out, and this is going to be a real shame, because you one of them people that needs to be doing that full time. That's just what you.
Damn.
Yeah. So and so like you said, supporting them other people on Patreon is, how it feels. You've been there, and so supporting them, it gives you that wonderful feeling of, in a small way, you helping somebody else's dream to be a reality. That's the way I kind of think about it.
Oh, absolutely. And it makes all the difference in the world, having an audience, and having these two different levels of audience, which is kind of circling back to what you were asking earlier, the two levels of audience, the Patreon audience, and then the more generalized audience, it's a different feeling on both ends, and so I don't know, it's very exciting, but it makes a difference to being inspired to do stuff and doing it. Now we both know, making YouTube videos, there's sometimes you just gotta just push through, that sometimes you're not exactly, I don't know, my spirit is not exactly a flame
That's
on
right.
certain ones.
That's right. That is right.
But that happens. I mean, that's just life. I mean, you have an ebb and flow, and that's just the way things roll.
And I'm sure we get into that a little bit more later. Maybe, I don't know I know you got a lineup of questions, and hopefully we can touch on energy, creativity, happiness, the things, factors that motivate us and how we can, because I deal with, go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I deal with lots of questions, I would say almost on a daily basis, of people just say, Craftsman, I really want to do what you do, and I want to just, not necessarily with YouTube, but to even just make something. And you got the person who is just apprehensive about messing up, and I got my things, I tell them, but then you got the person also who just they have it in a little bit of sparks. They say, I feel like it, then the next day I ain't going to feel like finishing it. So I just don't even begin, because I just know they in that little bit of that cycle. You have that just really serendipitous moment. You got that just energy, and you got to put it into something, but tomorrow you wake up, you're going to be like, why did I even do that? And so I got some tips and some things that has helped me to work through that, and I know you do as well, because one of my favorite things now that you have said is that happiness is a skill, and to me happiness goes hand in hand with creativity. Really does.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can't be creative if you're not happy, and it's like it really is a whole chain of things. It's like your health is so important, like having good health. I mean,
that's right.
If you don't feel good, then it's really hard to be creative.
That's right.
I mean, so like that is kind of number one, and then everything kind of falls in line after that. But yeah, happiness is a skill, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that, because a lot of people, like the thing that I've heard so much is happiness is a choice, and while that is true, it takes a bit of building up of skill, over time, and you can sort of exercise your mind to a point where you can see where you have a chance to make the choice to be happy, or you can turn your face behind you, or you can turn your face to the sun, and I use that kind of as my you'll hear me say this probably several times, but I use it as like my North Star. My guiding influence is, if I feel good about something I'm doing, there's no need to question it. I'm doing the right thing, And if I don't feel good, I'm anxious or something's weird, I'm not fully looking at where I should be. And it's a very simple thing. It's funny how I can confuse things so much and make things so much more complicated than they should be.
Right. Oh, I can relate to that for sure. For sure.
Go ahead, please.
I just I was going to go off on a little tangent, but about
Please do.
Well, my wife has helped me tremendously. I have battled depression, and it's an ongoing thing, and have tried different things. I don't really get into it a whole lot on the channel because it gets a little bit heavy, But I did one time. I talked about it. One video, in particular, I might have mentioned it a couple of times, but this one video, I swear I got so many emails after that video from people saying, Craftsman, well, either number one, they would have had no idea that I dealt with that, or number two, they were just grateful that I, shared it, because it felt like it meant something to them. They could relate to it, and then knowing that, hey, knowing that you're not alone is powerful. Knowing that somebody that you see being, you think of them as productive and this and that. I don't consider myself to be, be successful by probably the world standards, but I just feel, I feel blessed. I feel like, this is just incredible what I get to do. But if I'm waiting around to feel happy until I start making a video or building something, then that's just like a writer waiting around for inspiration to hit them like lightning before they start putting words on the page. But all the best writers, the professional writers, they just write. They write every single day. And
That's correct.
and sometimes it might not be the best, but it's a work. And so it comes back to skill, like you was talking about. And for me, on the days that I feel bad, I've got to lean. You've got what my wife told me. She said, you can't think about what you feel. You got to think about what you know. And so that's a constant for me. Now, my faith plays a big part in that. My faith is a tremendous part of that. The love of my wife, my family thing. Even when I'm at my lowest valley, I just think about, look, I feel horrible right now. I don't feel like any of this is worth doing. I don't feel like it's got any meaning to it. I just want to go crawl in bed and just let's see what happens tomorrow, how I feel. But I just sludge through it. It makes me think about that swamp in Never Ending Story. That really sad scene. And so you just got to know. You just know that they're good things, and there's something on the other side. And so the key for me is hope. If you don't have hope, man, what a terrible, that's just miserable. That's going to be so hard on you to not have the hope of something better, to hang on to what you know instead of what you feel. And eventually you're going to come back around and feel good. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't really plan. That's not very concise, but I'm never concise, Tino.
I thought of this thing last night, and it's like it was helping me through something, which is that I've noticed that my moods, like you can't force yourself to be happy, right? So that goes kind of back to happiness is a skill. But when you're really down, sometimes you're just down, and sometimes you're like, okay, well, this is where I'm at. But what I've started to notice for me is that, okay, well, looking at these moods is like watching a weather pattern move through. So, sometimes it's beautiful and sunny outside, sometimes it's raining, and that's beautiful too. And sometimes it can be really beautiful, but sometimes a storm is just a storm, and you're like, man,
Right.
this is not that cool. I'm stuck inside. It's wet. It's cold. It's not, everything's soggy.
Yeah.
But looking at my mental patterns kind of in the same way of saying like, well, this is a storm, Tino. It's gonna pass. Just do what you can. Like, if it's a little bit of crafting helps you make you feel good, do that. If you need to watch a movie, do that. Just whatever makes you feel better in that moment is kind of a good thing, because what it does is gives you that first leg of hope.
That's right.
And that's the important part, because if you don't have that, you don't have anything. And
That's right.
you mentioned faith, and I don't know what kind of faith you have, but for me, my faith, the thing that I look into or look to for inspiration or guidance, like that, I cannot disentangle that from crafting. I cannot disentangle that from making these videos. Now, I'm not, and you're not either. We're not hitting people over the head with this, but
That's right.
it's just part of my being. It's part of my structure, my foundation. So I'll never be able to disentangle myself from it, and I'm sure we'll learn more about all that as we go.
Yeah, just to address that for anybody, I have people who've been watching me for years know that, or have discerned that, I believe in Jesus. And I know it could be, some people might find that offensive, but it really is the perfect. He is a perfect example of forgiveness, of love, of there's so many things that's done under Christianity that really makes people look at it the wrong. It gives it a bad name, so to say. But for me, creativity and my creator, it goes hand in hand. Kind of what you were talking about. I think, to me, I can't disconnect creativity from that. I feel like we are creative because of how we were created in that image, and so it just, if I'm looking at it, like I'm looking out my window right now, I'm looking at some tree bark, and to me, just patterns and things in nature and creativity, and it's just full of life, and just when I'm making something, it gives me just such a feeling, this natural happiness that it's really hard to put into words. I just want more people to experience it, and that's the biggest thing with my videos. I really wish people would get hold to something and just make something. And I take for granted, because my parents was very nurturing, and I bet your parents probably was the same way, but some people did not come up
Yes.
and some people was raised to be practical. All right, that ain't going to pay the bills. You need to be learn to be a doctor, a lawyer. My parents never cut me off from doing the things that I enjoy doing. They never told me it was an impossible dream. And I did do manual labor most of my life, running a shovel, running a post hole digger, operating equipment, things like that. But all in the back of that, I still was doing creative things. But honestly, it's almost like because I had to do it. Not to say that begrudgingly, but I loved it. But it's like I had to, just to live, just to be creative. It's always been so much a part of just existing for me. And I feel bad for people that just don't be doing creative things, They're missing out, I feel like. I just want people to be more creative and just to make them something. Just make something.
Yeah, that's a beautiful sentiment, and it also harkens back like to, you mentioned like earlier that some people like they don't want to craft because they think about it, they think too far ahead of it, or they think they're gonna mess it up, and what I gotta say to it is like, yeah, 100% you're gonna mess it up. You are definitely gonna mess it up, and that's
right.
The perfect place to start. Because
Right.
until you can watch Craftsman mess it up, you can watch Dinu mess it up, but until you mess it up, you're not gonna get it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely you can watch Craftsman mess it up. And I like that so much about what you do as well. You were editor, you into it even more so than I am in an industrial type of way. I know you have a very, and it shows in your video that you got real world experience, but you know as well as I do that we can make a video and edit it in such a way that them 7 mistakes that we made ain't even going to show up. It's going to look like we did it right the first time. But the best responses I get is when I leave, even if it's the dumbest mistake I ever did, if I leave it in the video, it really does a lot for somebody else,
Oh, absolutely. There's so many videos that I've watched where, these people, now don't get me wrong, they are experts, but that's kind of the key. It's like you're showing people that even, and I'm certainly not qualifying myself as an expert, but you're showing people that, like, even though you've been doing something for years and years and years, man, you're gonna make mistakes. It's part of human nature, and it's also part of, like, focus. Sometimes I'm more focused on the task I'm doing, and sometimes I'm not. And it's like when you're working with a power tool, boy, tends to sharpen your focus a little more than when you're working with
That's right.
something else. But and that's one of my things, and like that's certainly something that I can honestly say I try to work on a daily basis, is trying to make myself a better person. And that doesn't just mean being nice to the cashier at the supermarket. It's also trying to be nice to myself, because man, I can certainly be mean to myself, like in my internal dialogue. And I've started to curb that, which also it helps with the depression, because when you can identify that little mean-spirited voice in your head, and you start to see it, then you can, you start to be able to, like, I don't know, see that it's not always telling the truth, because it's like two separate things. I have a brain and I have a mind, and my mind should be driving, but a lot of times my brain is driving, and my brain doesn't always make the best decisions. My brain's good for certain things, like, I guess talking right now, like being able to make my mouth make the correct shape so I can say what I need to, and etc. I don't know, there's a million examples. But does that make sense?
Oh, it completely does. Really, really does make sense.
Craft 13.
Well, this has been Craftsman, your friend. A privilege for me today to talk with the one and the only Tino, and the Cajun crafter. And I just want to say that it's been an honor, Tino. Thank you so much for having me, and to everyone listening, I hope that you do remember that happiness is a skill, and that I hope you keep on steady crafting.
From up here on Craft 13, I'm gonna say over and out, and I'll talk to you soon. Transmission ended.